Namaskaram. Susharma's story. Long ago, there lived a man named Susharma. He was born into a Brahmin family, but he did not follow the good values taught in his home. Instead of living a noble life, he chose the wrong path. Susharma did not care to learn sacred teachings or follow traditions. He never prayed to God, never spent time in meditation, and never showed kindness to others. His heart was filled with bad habits. Every day he wasted his time drinking and gambling. He ate food that was forbidden by his tradition and did not control his desires. He often spent time with people who led immoral lives, thinking that such pleasures would make him happy. Because of these choices, Susharma slowly moved farther and farther away from goodness. Though he was born into a respected family, his actions showed no respect for the values of truth, discipline, and compassion. Many years of Susharma's life passed in this careless and sinful manner. He spent his time doing things that were wrong without thinking about their results. One day, while walking through the peaceful hermitage of a sage, he searched for tender green leaves. Suddenly, from the thick grass nearby, an angry snake slid out and struck him without warning. The venom worked quickly. Susharma collapsed to the ground, unable to stand. His body trembled in great pain, and his breath grew weak as the poison spread through him. The snake's poison soon ended Susharma's life. His body grew still, and his soul left his body. Because of the many wrong actions he had done, his soul was taken to places of punishment where he had to suffer for his sins. Without a body, he experienced great hardship. He was made to endure severe pain, treated harshly, and given unpleasant food. This continued for a long time until his punishment there came to an end. After that, his soul was born again, this time as an ox. In this new life, suffering followed him once more. From morning till night, he was forced to do heavy work without rest. If he slowed down even a little, he was beaten. He was fed only enough to keep himself alive, not to give him strength or comfort. For many years, he lived this painful life, learning through hardship the cost of his past actions. As the ox grew older, his strength slowly faded. He could no longer manage heavy work. Seeing this, his owner sold him to a man who could not walk. This man bought the ox so that he could ride on its back and move from place to place. For the next 8 years, the ox carried his new owner wherever he went. Each passing year made the ox weaker and more tired. One day, the man decided to travel a long distance. They walked the entire day, crossing dry lands without water, thorny forests, and rough mountain paths. By the time they reached a steep cliff, the ox was exhausted. The man wanted to cross the cliff to reach a town on the other side. But the old ox could not keep his balance. His legs slipped and he fell down the slope. The rider was injured and people nearby rushed to help him. Far below, the ox lay badly hurt and was breathing his last. Seeing a dying ox, the people gathered there began to pray. In Hindu belief, the ox is sacred and is known as Nandi, the devoted carrier of Lord Shiva. Out of compassion, the people offered prayers and shared the merit of their good deeds for the peace of the ox's soul. Among the crowd stood a woman, a Devadasi, who earned her living through paid companionship. She knew little about prayers or religious customs. Yet, watching the others, she softly repeated their words and said, "O God, please give my share of goodness to this poor ox." Soon after, the soul of the ox was taken to the court of Yama, the Lord of Death, where all actions are judged. After careful examination, Yama spoke, "O Susharma, you were born as a Brahmin, yet your life was filled with many wrong deeds. Because of them, you had to suffer in hell and take birth in lower forms." Hearing this, the soul trembled with fear and regret. Seeing this, Yama spoke gently, "Do not be afraid. Your suffering has come to an end." Susharma looked up in surprise. Yama continued with a smile. "When you were dying as an ox, many people prayed for you. But one prayer, offered without any selfish reason, brought you special grace. The prayer of that Devadasi woman washed away your sins and earned you a place in heaven." With these words, Yama sent Susharma's soul to heaven. Later, he was born again on earth in the home of a noble Brahmin. This time he remembered his past lives. When he grew old enough to understand the world, he went to the woman who had prayed for him. He said respectfully, "Because of my past sins, I was born as an ox. When I was dying, your prayer freed me from my suffering. Though your life seemed ordinary, your prayer was powerful. Please tell me how it became so pure." The woman replied honestly, "I did not pray with any special knowledge or purpose. I only followed what others were doing. I do not perform rituals or worship regularly. But I have a parrot at home. Every day it chants sacred words. I do not understand them, yet hearing them fills my heart with peace. Whatever goodness came from listening to those words, I offered it to you." She then said, "If you wish to know more, perhaps the parrot itself can answer your question." And so they turned towards the parrot, hoping to learn the true reason behind the power of that simple prayer. The parrot spoke calmly, "I know the truth behind all this. But for you to understand it fully, you must first hear who I once was and how I became what you see today." "We are eager to listen," said Susharma. The parrot began, "I was not always a bird. In my previous life, I was a well-known scholar, respected for my learning. Yet, knowledge brought pride along with it. Though I knew that ego destroys wisdom, I failed to control it. Slowly, pride and jealousy filled my heart, and I began to look down upon other scholars. When my life ended due to old age, I was sent to a place of suffering, not for lack of knowledge, but for the arrogance that lived within me. Because I had insulted learned people, I was born again on earth as a parrot. This new life was not easy. I was separated from my parents while still very young and had not yet learned to fly properly. One hot summer, I fell from my nest. Weak, thirsty, and helpless, I lay on the ground, unable to return. The burning heat almost took my life. But fate had other plans. A group of sages found me and took me to their hermitage. They placed me safely in a cage and cared for me with great kindness. They fed me and protected me as if I were their own child. Every morning, the children of the hermitage recited verses from the first chapter of Bhagavad Gita. As parrots naturally repeat sounds, I began to chant those verses again and again. Over time, their sacred power purified me. One day a hunter stole me from the hermitage and sold me in the marketplace. This Devadasi woman later bought me and brought me to her home. There I continued reciting the same verses every day. The parrot paused and then said, "The continuous chanting of the Gita freed me from the burden of my past sins." The same purity reached this Devadasi too, simply by listening it daily. When she offered the goodness that she had gained to the dying ox, it became powerful enough to wash away his sins. Hearing this, both Susharma and the woman felt amazed and deeply moved. After their conversation ended, Susharma returned home, thinking about all that had happened in his many lives. He decided to study and understand the first chapter of the Gita with devotion. The Devadasi too chose the same path. From that day onwards, all three of them recited the first chapter of the Bhagavad Gita daily in their homes. Through sincere listening, chanting, and reflection, they slowly gained true knowledge. In time, they were freed from the cycle of birth and death. This story highlights the Hindu belief in the power of divine names and scriptures, particularly the Bhagavad Gita, as a means to attain liberation even for the greatest of the sinners. It emphasizes that devotion and hearing sacred chants can purify the heart and lead to moksha or liberation regardless of one's past actions or social standings. Narayana, Narayana.